If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I know the topics that I constantly talk about are very, very serious things, at least for people who are aware that they're actually happening. Others laugh at a lot of this stuff because, they don't want to believe the inevitable that is occurring here in this world. But sometimes we need to take a step away and love, because love wins. And I have this beautiful story that I wanted to share with everybody that's going to really make your heart melt. It was shared on the website at callforanuprising.com. I unfortunately cannot say the name of the person who shared it because both of the words in his avatar I can't say here on YouTube, but he knows who he is or she. I'd like to thank the person for sharing it. I say that again because, let's see what I'm talking about here. And we have somebody who is an objectum sexual. That's right. It really warms and melts your heart, doesn't it? Stories like this, and you think that I'm coming to you from The Onion or I'm coming to you from some satire website. No, this is the New York Post that is putting this out there. And this is apparently, from everything I've seen, a true story. And it doesn't surprise me for the most part that we have insane people living in this world. I guess what surprises me most is I don't know how they come up with some of these ideas of things to fall in love with. I mean, I made a wicked scrambled egg recently, and I whisked it up, and I had just this moment while I was doing it where I thought for a second that I was falling in love with the whisk because I was whisking so perfectly, and then I thought about it for a longer period of time, and now we're in an exclusive relationship for the day. So me and the whisk, and that's just part of love, and this is exactly what we're seeing here. I've covered a woman who fell in love with a chandelier before, covered a woman who married a tree, and now we have a woman who is sexually attracted to planes. That's right, airplanes. And she wants to marry a toy Boeing, right? You ever think about when you were a kid, girls, if you were playing with a Barbie doll, maybe thinking about marrying Ken one day? Or did you ever play with your toys when you were a kid and you were playing with Ninja Turtles and you thought all of a sudden that you and Leonardo were going to be in an exclusive relationship, you and the toy? Not you and the character, the toy. Well, this is the insane crap that we allow in this world. And there are literally, the scary part is, I'm sure when most people read this and see this story, they roll their eyes and they say, this is ridiculous. But the scary part is there's a percentage of our population that actually sees this as a normal and okay thing. There are actually people who would fight me on this and say, that's hate speech, that's mean, and that's bullying. When this person clearly needs help. Now, I wonder what, you could look at the person, like I said before, there's certain people you can look at and you know what their, communities they belong to. Isn't that funny? It's almost like their own breed of species, because that's what they are. And then they say it's because of a sexual preference, but in reality, it's just insane liberal people. So this woman, apparently a woman, is sexually attracted to planes and wants to marry this toy Boeing. Sarah Rodo, 23 years old, even refers to the Boeing 737 as her boyfriend. She flies in the aircraft as often as possible and has 50 replica models of the plane at home. Could you imagine being on the plane with her if you were on a Boeing 737? And Sarah was sitting across from you. What does she do on the plane when she's flying on her boyfriend, the 737? Does anybody, maybe the flight attendant, come around instead of offering drinks or food, offer a straitjacket to Sarah? Because, you might think we're at a point now where we're going to need to start labeling people insane and helping them out, because this is kind of like, it's sad and it's pathetic, but it's sad, right? That we're not helping people like this who clearly have a problem, because the media and celebrities and these liberal lunatics have gotten so insane that people literally are not even aware of what's normal and what's not anymore, right? This is Aleister Crowley, do with that will mindset. Everything is just upside down, inverted, and insane. So people literally don't even know what love is, because even if she just loved the plane, right? Been times in people's lives, I'm sure they've loved an object when they're young. They're like, I love my blanket or I love my toy doll, right? Well, this is a 23-year-old. Okay, this isn't even a 15-year-old. This is a 23-year-old. And her parents all right? Maybe, we have government agencies that should maybe arrest the parents or at least bring the parents in and see how in the world their daughter got to this place. Or it's not really fair to the parents because we could just obviously assume that this girl got to this point by watching television, by following Hollywood, and seeing all these liberal lunatics. Tell them that this is perfectly normal behavior when these people should be all put on an island together and let them have their insane ideologies there and let them all just sit there and we'll see how functional the world is with all of them on an island when none of them can do anything that matters at all other than complain about everything and fall in love with objects. I'm sure if they were all on an island, they'd all fall in love, with the sea and with sand. I mean, just total insanity. But anyway, Sarah flies the aircraft as often as possible. She has 50 of these things in her home. Sarah calls the Boeing Dickie and hopes to wed one day. She calls it Dickie. I wonder what she uses the toy objects for. The Dortmund resident identifies as an objectum sexual, meaning that she's sexually attracted to inanimate objects. I mean, is this on her passport too? She has the X on her passport because now you can put the X on the license in certain states, the X on the passport. This is brought to you by the Biden administration, by the way. The same people who are obviously doing this on purpose to empower insane people so they could reset everything and cause this new world order. We're going to start putting things like objectum sexual on there because nobody will question it. I mean, this is probably going to be considered hate speech because I'm questioning people falling in love with objects around their home, right? I mean, you're all probably doing something today involving cooking. I mean, be careful you don't fall deeply in love with the object you're cooking with, the utensil. But if you do, it's perfectly normal and accepted in this insane world. She said, get this, she's had past romances with men, but it didn't get her flying high. She's also been in love with a train in the past. So it's more like automobiles, trains. We did have a guy, if you don't remember, maybe you remember, I covered before on My Crazy Obsession, something like that. We had a guy who was literally having sex with his car using the gas tank. Yeah, these are things that they air on TV where people are like, wow, they're airing this on TLC and it's channels like that. The Learning Channel, by the way. And then they don't realize, well, they're actually trying to teach this to people and tell them it's normal behavior, even though people gasp at first when they see it. Then they start thinking the same perverse, disgusting, disturbing notions themselves, and then they act upon them because that's how engineering works in general. So she has been in love with a train before, probably a Lionel, possibly an Amtrak. Sarah said, my plane is called Dickie, it says in quotes. I mean, is this the New York Post? I mean, the New York Post ain't the most credible source. None of these mainstream media things are, but it's a pretty big newspaper, the New York Post. This isn't like, it's just some blog that somebody wrote. And they're quoting her, my plane is called Dickie. Yeah, I love everything about him, she says, but particularly his face, wings, and engine. They're so sexy to me. I mean, you might ask yourself, why am I covering this? I'm covering this because this is what we're living amongst. So many of you are frustrated with the way the world is going. I'm one of them. It's hard some days to even wake up and get out of bed because this is the type of stuff we're dealing with. And then you have the mainstream media and Hollywood and all of these people in power endorsing this. Your tax money goes to like fund stuff like this, right? And organizations like this into acceptance and stopping hate because hate is disagreeing with insanity. When these people are the ones who really need help, they want everyone to think that people like us are the ones who need help because we're actually questioning all the stuff that we're seeing that the government is doing. And there's pictures of her, as you're seeing on the screen, with her planes. And just mom and dad must be so proud. Laying in bed with a red light on in the room. I mean, just some of the most disturbing stuff you'll see. But again, this is normalized in this society. So she said, some people don't understand my love, but my friends took my coming out very well and encouraged me. Well, maybe we should have your friends checked on as well. These are people who obviously need serious help. I mean, who are her friends dating? Maybe they'll double date, her and her friends. They probably go out on group dates, right? She brings her Boeing. The other person brings what? Lincoln Continental, little toy car. All right, somebody else brings a toy scooter. I mean, does it ever stop? Are stories like this ever going to stop? The answer is no. It's just how much more absurd can it get? I mean, I couldn't even think of something more. I mean, a printer, a lamp. I mean, these are the next thing. I mean, I did the chandelier already. That was years ago. Now we have toy objects, and this is actually somebody sat and classified this as a sexual preference. Like, this is normal. Here's what's normal sexual preference: men liking women and women liking men. I know it's very caveman-like, but it's the way it's supposed to be, and nothing's ever going to change that. So this is the story of a woman who's sexually attracted to planes and wants to marry a Boeing. Luckily for her, she's had many chances in her life to get on a Boeing and fly around so she could feel the Boeing for herself. This world is absolutely an abomination, beyond abominations. But more so than that, it's an embarrassment. And humanity continues to become an embarrassment. And that's why we know things like this, that we are in the days of Noah, because it can't get much more insane than this, or can it? We'll find out. Reminder, check out the website at callforanuprising.com. It's $2.99 a month. I hope to see everybody over there. New content up over there. A lot of the stuff with what's going on in Texas, if you haven't seen it, so definitely check it out. It's 10 cents a day. It's the price of a cup of coffee for the month. So, you can just not get a cup of coffee, sub to the site. I mean, you'll spend hours on the site. If you're in one of those moods and you want to, research stuff and get into stuff. I know there's days where people are like, I need a day, or 2 days or a week, and you don't want to think about any of this stuff or see any of this stuff, or maybe you're somebody who could deal with it every day. Either or, there's always information coming in on the website and the forum. People are posting all the time. It's extremely active. You can go on at night and spend 3 hours in there reading, looking at articles, interacting with other people. So definitely check it out if you haven't. I want to thank the Patreons and thank all of you for your support here on YouTube. I appreciate all of you being here still greatly. Make sure you're subbed to my backup channels as well, because you never know, I might get a strike for hate speech against the Boeing 737 or whatever the heck it is. Unbelievable. Thanks again for being here, everybody. God bless you and your families.